agree at base value that okay, that's it, it's improbable, well then you're in a dilemma here because according to Paul, 1 Corinthians 15:4, if Christ has not risen, then your faith is just in vain, and all
But
your preaching the gospel is in vain.
But the issue
Would you not
is,
agree?
but the issue is that everything within religion could be considered improbable, right? Like let's say Allah coming down and telling Muhammad whatever.
That's actually not
That's
improbable.
very improbable.
That's
Yes.
impossible. That's logic. That's metaphysically impossible. I don't think that Allah Himself directly comes down. I actually think that Allah asks the angels, or He relays it via the angels. But that, in terms of revelation or scriptural revelation, that's a completely different story because we can still verify this book to be something which is from an extrinsic or non-spatial temporal factor, because it's obviously still natural. It's written down in a what we call a mushaf, or like the actual book. In this case, it's not just something which we're solely observing, and that's it. We don't
How do you
verify
know
it in
this
other
to be
means.
the case? Explain.
How do I know what to be the case?
So you're saying that wait, I'm confused because I don't know too much about Islam. So you're saying,
Okay.
Can you explain how the book was there to be?
Yeah. So, for example, Allah, right? From that Allah has like speech, right? And He told Angel Gabriel, basically just revelation, and Angel Gabriel came down as like he's an angel, right? He came down and he told Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, basically the revelation, and then Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam recited it, and the companions and so on, they compiled the book, the Quran, which is what we call the Mus'haf. And I'm saying that we're able to verify that this is some sort of from some sort of supernatural figure, from just how the book is written, etc., etc., etc. Right now, maybe you could contend that fact that okay, maybe I don't agree, like this is not written, blah blah blah. That's a completely different topic, right? Whether it's from God or not, whatever. That would be a completely different topic in and of itself. But I'm saying that in general, we can verify some sort of new supernatural occurrence in that fashion, right? But then when you have just something which is based on like a supernatural occurrence happening based off of like just testimony in and of itself, then that's just going to be in like no like sort of like scripture that can prove that it's supernatural, whatever. Then it's kind of a dilemma here. And I think that the resurrection of Jesus is a good example of something like that.
All right, never ask somebody one fucking simple question, bro. They just start fucking talking. Okay, wait. Earlier, I want to bring up something earlier that we talked about. My bad. Okay, so I think you're misconstruing what I said about that improbability thing. I think if it's like anybody, like a cat resurrecting, that is very improbable, right?
I agree. Yeah.
I think you were kind of pushing that, but what I meant by that was something like that, for example. But I think with Jesus that it is probable.
But you earlier said no Christian would deny that the grand scheme of things
with resurrection, with base resurrection, like something being resurrected. I think in the case of Jesus, it's different.
Why do you think it's different?
Because we have more witness testimonies that you even can see two people like exist. Like, do you think the disciples exist?
But again, testimonial evidence isn't exactly going to be a stronger possible warrant than exceptionless regularities of the past. So, I mean, you claim that I was just repeating that claim, but that is very fundamental towards proving why the resurrection, even despite the testimonial evidence, is still improbable. Mainly because of exceptionless regularities of the past, because a miracle is that which goes against the laws of nature by definition. But if we can prove that the laws of nature will hold for, well, like there would be no outcome in which it does get violated, but we can prove such via exceptionless regularities in the past, where we're able to observe the past as having no irregular occurrences, then we can say that this will just be the same for the future. The future will also have no irregular occurrences. No, what I mean regular and within the laws of nature. So for there to be some sort of, or for there to randomly just be some sort of supernatural occurrence, we could just say that these testimonies of the people who witnessed it are just diluted, because exceptionless regularities of the past are going to be a stronger possible warrant for the laws of nature holding rather than not holding.
Okay, what do you mean by the laws of nature?
Laws of nature just refer to, I mean, that's kind of vague. It depends on, like, I guess.
You're using it.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, for like Jesus resurrecting, I guess any sort of law of nature that would forbid something resurrect. Like naturally, you'd say that things don't, like, you agree that in the grand scheme of things that it's improbable for something to resurrect, right?
But okay, here's the issue though. Appealing to like something like the laws of nature and like a biblical conversation or like any type of like, I think, and mostly metaphysical, I think it contradicts a lot of science-based things, right? And laws of nature contradict a lot of like things. Like we have to argue over these things, right? You just like using law of nature denies this, so therefore it's not the case. But that's what's being put into question, right?
I'm not saying that law of nature denies this and that's the case. I'm actually giving a reason as to why the laws of nature are going to triumph over your theological assertion, right? It's not just that, right? And I agree with this. Like, I literally agree with what David Hume would say here. And in fact, David Hume would probably apply this sort of reasoning to my theology. But as I said, I have a way of kind of escaping his manner, which I already gave many times.
Who is David Hume?
He's the philosopher who argued against concrete miracles and the way that I'm arguing it right now, or arguing against it right now. But
all right,
my point is, yeah.
So do you think that law of nature can also deny the existence of God? Period.
No. Oh, actually, if you're going to be someone like Graham Oppy, where he writes in his in his book Against God, he does kind of say that like a naturalistic view can be more probable because supernatural, like for example, when God causes you, right? You agree that God calls you.
Wait, what did you just ask me? God calls you?
You agree that God calls you, yeah? Well, do you believe in God, right?
What do you mean by that? God calls you? Like
he created you. Just say he created you.
Yes, okay, thank you. That was the easier way of saying it.
Yeah, okay, sorry. You're dependent on God, you're contingent on God because he caused you or created you, whatever, right? Someone who's like a naturalist, and Graham Oppy argues this in his book, is going to say that something like God creating you, and you agree that God is not just someone who's in time or material, he's immaterial and he's supernatural, right?
Wait, off topic. What's your definition of God? I'm just curious.
I think that God is that which has omniproperties. He's metaphysically and essentially necessary, meaning he's uncaused, not dependent. He's ontologically independent. He's non-spatial, temporal, he's immaterial, no place, whatever, etc., etc. Anyways, okay. You would agree that God, in essence, I'm not speaking about Jesus because obviously you'd say that. Well, you're a Christian, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't say that like God is in time, right? Because when you speak of God or Jesus in specific, that's only with respect to his human nature, but his divine nature, or his essence, is still, immaterial, supernatural, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you're going to say that some sort of supernatural figure created you, right? You're going to say that this is improbable because it goes against the laws of nature. The laws of nature would say that like only natural occurrences can occur, and they would just appeal to some sort of like natural causality,
like evolution.
Usually they would appeal to evolution.
Yeah.
Or maybe like your mom, just your mom causing you knows it. Just the universe, something in the universe causing everything to happen. That's
so do you see the issue here?
No, I don't see the issue, mainly because we can actually derive that there is a supernatural or necessary, or there's a mereologically simple and a uncaused causer, which did cause you, and we can derive that from necessity, right? Obviously, I don't think you could derive like Jesus resurrecting from necessity because that's dependent on theological assertions, and theological assertions are not necessarily the case. I think anyone would dismiss that.
Oh my God, okay, wait. So it's like, one second. So you appeal the laws of nature to some things. And wait, so you don't believe in evolution to be true because of you think there's not a science? You think there can't be a scientific way of explanation?
Not Darwinian evolution.
What?
I don't agree with Darwinian evolution.
Oh God!
Why not? I'm just curious. I just want to hear your reason.
I mean, I'm not really too well versed in like Darwinian evolution and so on, but I don't really agree with it mainly because they would assert. Well, I mean, mainly they would just look at like bones and just say, okay, well, yeah, like this, we evolutionized, like this can't even speak. We came from whatever apes or whatever, etc. But they can't prove DNA like chromosomal mutation. So for them to prove that, then maybe they can have some sort of like ground for that.
Wait, what do you want them to prove specifically?
Wait, Beetlejuice. You think that you said apes?
Apes, monkeys, whatever.
Wait, so you don't believe in evolution because you don't think that there's any type of like proof for it?
Not Darwinian evolution. I mean, like
Darwinian
even
evolution.
then,
What do you think
even
Darwinian
then-
evolution is?
Well, it's just Darwin's theory of evolution, in which.
Well, clearly, I mean, what do you think the description of is? Go ahead.
I just think that it's basically, it's just a natural view that the species,
There's
like
a lot of
they arrive.
naturalistic views. Oh,
I know,
sorry.
but it's just
I
a
sorry, I
type
didn't
of
hear you. I
natural
cut you
view.
off. Continue.
It's a type of natural view in which there's a selection of variation, like we reproduce and we came from apes and so on, and Homo sapiens or whatever. I'm not too well versed in like Darwinian evolution.
Wait, Homo what?
Homo sapiens or whatever. I don't know. I'm
I
not
think
well
we came
versed in
from
Darwinian
Homo
evolution.
sapiens.
We are Homo sapiens.
Or I don't know what they're called. Bro. I'm not well versed in Darwinian evolution.
Beetlejuice is literally saying he's not well versed, so obviously.
I know, but
well
then why
versed.
make the strong statement?
That's
like
the point.
we know
So,
he is.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't reject.
I was gonna say.
One moment,
I was gonna say.
I don't reject.
No, I get it. Like I wasn't trying to debate you. And I was gonna say it's just such an ignorant
but
statement to make.
Yeah, but I don't reject. I don't reject Darwinian evolution because God exists.
That's
Okay.
Actually, yeah. Okay. So why
I
do you
don't
reject it?
reject. Like I would just reject it based on the fact that I wouldn't see it as compatible with like my view of Islam. But I don't go.
So it is because
like-
of your
So
God.
it's theological.
No,
So it
it's
is
not, yeah, it's not like
related
a
to
theological
God.
searching, but I'm saying just like a general view. Like for
A
you to say
general
that God
view?
exists, yeah, for you to say that God exists at base value, like if you're a deist or a Christian, doesn't automatically like falsify Darwinian
That's not what I
evolution.
meant necessarily.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if,
and I know.
if
I
we
was
were
more in
talking about
reference
the
to,
flood, right?
like-
It's-
Yeah, I was more in
I was
reference to
speaking-
said like Islamic God. I was gonna
Yeah,
say
I was.
I feel like the rejection of such an ideology, or not even ideology, like a blatant scientific fact, just simply due to a portion of ignorance. I feel like that's a bit problematic.
Would you agree? Would you agree that Darwinian evolution occurred?
Yeah,
Like, do you agree that it's a thing?
yeah,
As a Christian,
yeah.
do you think it's compatible with Christianity then?
No.
100%.
See, a natural
all
naturalist
it's
is very
going over
compatible.
is variation, heritability, right? Adaptation, survival of the fittest, and common descent. Fossil record, comparative anatomy, biogeography. All these things, I don't really see a problem with them being in. I guess it depends on what type of Christian you are.
Does he not know what
I won't make the
survival-
statement.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, so
like,
I won't make the statement that
Wait, I'm
every
not talking
Christian
about you,
agrees.
Beetlejuice.
But
Bro.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, oh, BB, do you disagree?
Wait, so Beetlejuice, you disagree with like animals?
Wait, BB, were you disagreeing with me or Beetlejuice?
No, this dude Beetlejuice, bro.
Oh.
Or not necessarily. I'm just asking him a question, bro. I don't know if it's like an answer.
Yeah.
So,
I
like,
just wanted
if
to
there
know
are
that,
purple frogs on a log, and then the eagle spots the purple frogs, and the white frogs are camouflaged, and the eagle eats the purple frogs, what is that? I'm curious.
Say that again. And the eagle eats the purple frog.
Yes.
Yeah. And not the white ones. The white ones are
What
eating
do you
that
think? What do you
concept.
think that is, Beetlejuice?
Survival of the fittest. I have no idea what's that referring to.
Okay, now Beetlejuice, if that occurs over multiple generations, won't the prevalence of white frogs increase? Because the purple ones keep getting eaten.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
I don't.
okay.
This is literally
Yo, this is
direct.
a guy who's all
Just
philosophy,
answer.
I didn't.
all philosophy,
No,
no
one second,
science
one second.
class.
No,
Bro.
this is
One
that's
second,
why
one
my
second.
biology philosophers shouldn't do science.
What the holy
This
shit,
is
Beetlejuice?
fucking hell.
Do you have the IQ of a
don't
fucking
understand.
wet snail? You fucking frog leg eating bitch. What the fuck?
No,
There
wait,
is a log.
Bro,
Wait,
Wait. I'll
I
explain it. I'll explain it again. There
No,
is a log. There is a
one
log.
second.
Okay.
So,
There are
second,
white
yeah, I'm not
frogs.
done. I'm
White
not
frogs
done.
get targeted by the eagles.
I'm not done.
Then the
What
purple
they're
frogs
trying to say-
blend in.
Bro,
What
they're
happened?
just trying to say here,
I'm
right?
saying
They're just
I
trying to
don't-
say if there
No.
exists.
One
He
second.
understands. See,
I'm
calm
saying
down.
I
He
can't
understands.
speak. I can't understand.
just-
Yeah, I was gonna
What
say,
Josh
let's let him just respond. Yeah, go ahead,
Over
respond.
his accent, I don't understand what he's saying over his accent.
Yeah, go ahead, respond.
Okay, Archie, repeat what I said then about the purple frogs get eaten more often. He's saying my accent's the issue.
Who's saying? Okay. So,
yeah, just repeat what I
If
said.
there's
Well,
okay,
I heard
so-
what BB said.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, if a certain group of certain demographic of like animals come in, and a certain group of animals come out, what can we assume the conclusion could be, right? Due to eating and whatnot, and all of those parameters, right? Obviously, there was a decrease due to the existence of another thing. What does that mean?
There was a
I think
decrease
we
of a
can-
certain species
I
due
think
to
we
another
can.
species.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can come to a
it's
logical
survival of the
conclusion, right?
fittest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I said to BB.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was gonna say, what was your response? Because you're getting cut off pretty badly.
Response to survival of the fittest.
Or is there anything you wanted to add? I mean, you said you were getting cut off, so.
No, I didn't say I was getting cut off. I was just saying that I wanted to just say I didn't understand what Josh was saying, mainly due to his accent, not because I didn't comprehend exactly what he was saying. Yeah,
perfect. You're referring to measuring bones. Are you in reference to? Okay, are you referencing Falsa Record?
Not exactly. I mean, as I said, I'm not really well versed in the topic of. I'm not really well versed in the topic of.
He said
evolution and so on.
Also, is he like rejecting
I'm not
bone
very.
structure?
I'm not, as I said, I'm not very like well versed when it comes to like evolution, like whatever proofs for that. So I don't really like speak about it. But as I said, going back to what me and BB were talking about previously, we were just speaking about like naturalistic views for why someone would say that God does not exist. So, for example, maybe a naturalist is going to reject that God exists because supernatural causation is just improbable, right? Which he brought up evolution, and as I said, I don't really, not too well versed in evolution, but I don't think that would be very relevant in negating a God existing.
Oh yeah,
it would negate some versions.
I'd agree. It's just interesting, because you stated that previously, even though I'm still like in, keeping account of the fact that you're not that well versed in superposition and just false record and just things like that. You said it previously that part of your rejection, or even I think you used part or majority as a wording of your rejection, comes from your belief in Islam. Can you elaborate on this?
I would just say that most Islamic scholars and just the paradigm of Islam, I just don't think that like a Darwinian view would be compatible with like I guess like more of like an Islamic or Abrahamic narrative. I mean, I can't really speak for Christianity in specific, I'll be honest, because I'm not too well versed on what Christianity do. Like, I have seen people quote church fathers and so on, or that would basically like show a rejection of Darwinian evolution in its description, but I can't verify that, and I obviously wouldn't put that on you because I don't know if you would believe that. Like, what these church fathers say, I don't know if you can take from them. Or
I think they hold some validity, but I think for someone to reject it, I think most of it comes from a bit of personal exhaustive speculation rather than biblical speculation. So
what do you mean by that?
I kind of hold it. Okay, so essentially so let's say there's a certain text. Obviously we understand that text and passages and whatever literature, anything you read, can be interpreted, and we make inferences based on previous factors. Well, sometimes the inferences we make, unfortunately, cannot be as accurate. Really, it just depends on whatever interpretation or perspective you have of said literature. And, that's why we have different denoms and different beliefs within multiple churches simply due to their separate interpretation of the text that we mutually read. So it's kind of hard for me, to say or speak on whether they're right or wrong. I can really only, of course, go
whether like the church fathers and so on or wrong.
Yeah. I mean, they're far more knowledgeable than me. So maybe they have a more firm foundation, but just from what I've seen exhaustively, no, not very convincing. I don't think that. Would
you be like?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to get your view, Archie. Would you be a sola scriptura? Like, do you adhere to sola scriptura?
That's actually interesting. Me and Judah were just talking about this. I don't know, honestly. So I know what you're referencing, and I feel like similar to what I was just saying. You know what I mean? I can't be too sure for how accurate such this position would hold. Because obviously Judah's still active, Flopper. He's still in the server. We were having a very interesting conversation about this, about how if we really look into the history, sola scriptura, sola Christus, etc., etc. These foundations and these firm decrees, they're not much Bible based when you think about it. A lot of it comes from, as I was mentioning before, this exhaustive inference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I
don't really think any of it can really be, quote unquote, defined by biblical reference. That's why I don't really hold fast to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really focus too much on whether someone's sola scriptura or not. Like, quite frankly, if you're a sola scriptura or not, I'm not gonna. I have no right to bash you, obviously, but I focus mainly on Catholic theology and so on. But I know they would probably hate proponents of sola scriptura.
Oh yeah, no, you wouldn't be wrong
I mean,
in that statement.
What's your denomination? You're like a non-denominational.
Honestly, so my initial one, right? I was simply just I was more interested in Catholicism.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of branching out recently and doing a lot more research. I'd say that's still what I hold to, but at the same time, like I definitely have been doing a lot more research on different denoms.
So you're more like inclined towards like
Pardon?
Catholicism. You're more inclined towards Catholicism, even though you're not exactly Catholic. You should read Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologica. He's one of the more profound, more famous saints and church doctors. He's Thomas Aquinas, Summa Theologica. It's basically literally everything.
Me and Apollo were talking about that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever read it or.
Partially, not fully though. Really, just glimpses, if I'm honest.
I mean, I think his Summa Theologica is very complex. Like, there's a lot of debate on what he might have meant here, or what he might have meant there, and then you see like a lot of people branching out, kind of away from like a mainstream Catholic view. Like, for example, you have like Edward Fraser. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he kind of like changes his way of like the Thomist view of act. That's why you see a lot of like Thomists, like actual classical Thomists who follow Thomas Aquinas to the T. You'd see them kind of bashing Thomas Aquinas or bashing Edward Fraser a little bit, because he does kind of go out of like the Thomistic route when he speaks of act. He kind of says that there's this aspect that's extrinsic rather than intrinsic and identical to avoid the Necessitarianism, blah blah blah. So I mean, like, there's a lot of interpretations of Aquinas, so you just got to be careful out there when reading him. But,
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's really with any any non-modernistic hold to views, you should always take it with the branch of salt, you know, never with full view.
It's very, I know what you mean. I agree.
Yeah.
It's good to have a teacher too when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, like, I would say that to read like Aquinas. What do you say?
No, I have a lot of mentors in my life, just older people who study biblical. Study a lot more than I do, to say the least. But
that's not a bad thing.
It's always good to have someone to help you. I mean, that's just natural.
Yeah.
Manuar, I'm definitely not referring to you if you can't spell that. Any Watts, whatever this guy's talking about. Anyways, I just joined because this is an interesting conversation and I liked it. I'm gonna go now. So, bye bye.
Beetlejuice, can you understand me, or am I gonna have to get
an
intermediary? No, because when he spoke about the lack of, was it bone structure?
I mean, look, as I said, Josh.
See, nigga, don't. Okay, fine, Beetlejuice, forget it. C doesn't want me to talk to you. It's okay.
It's fine. Josh,
no, C doesn't want me to. It's fine.
I don't care. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't care, and I'm not really very well versed when it comes to like Darwinian evolution. But do you know what I was speaking about with BB? Were you there?
You said something about bone structure. So the part I was
no. That was completely irrelevant to what I was speaking
about.
No,
I know. I only care about the evolution part. I care about the science.
Yeah,
I don't
and
really
I'm saying
care about
that
theology.
towards my discussion towards like BB, evolution was like very trivial. So what I said to BB during that entire 10-minute discussion I had with him, evolution is so trivial because whether it's true or not, I don't know if you would agree with this, but Josh, would you say that evolution negates God completely?
Me? It would negate some beliefs in God, and
maybe, but I'm just saying God base value, maybe
just the general idea of deity doesn't negate that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to tell BB. I'm saying that generally speaking, some people even argue that at the start there would have been a God which caused all of that, granting evolution, whatever. So I guess it would just be kind of trivial, towards our discussion anyway. I'm not really well versed in
your personal mindset.
Yeah, I'm not really.
I'm not gonna. You disagreed with it, but you weren't able to properly define it.
Yeah,
and
I'm
also,
not gonna go.
I'm not gonna go through line of questioning. I just want to know, like, if you haven't engaged with it, why do you trust the Islamic scholars rejecting it more than the scientists that affirm evolution?
Well, I mean,
Like,
okay,
why do you
think of it like this.
prioritize them?
Think of it like this. I focus mainly on like a philosophical aspect
Yeah.
of things. I don't really focus on like more of like a biological or like whatever evolution, mainly because I don't really find it to be intriguing or anything. So when I see like someone knowledgeable who actually does like focus on biology and has a degree on stuff like this, and they do speak against it, then I would just appeal to someone like them. I would say, okay, if you want to talk about biology, go talk to someone like that, not to me, because I'm not very
No,
well
I'm
versed in
not
it.
asking why. I'm not asking you to debate. I'm asking about your actual personal belief system. Like when you said the Islamic scholars disagree with scientific scholars, I'm asking why do you trust those people more? Because you said that you reject evolution because of them, or at least that's part of your
Well, I mean,
rejection.
some people who do reject evolution, like Islamic people who are like Islamically qualified to speak about the subject, they mainly have like some sort of background in biology. So as I said, you'd probably have to talk to someone like that if you want more of a, like an in-depth
Again,
response.
I'm not asking for justification, but okay, the better way to phrase this is why don't you reject Islam because of the scientists that reject evolution?
Because I believe that like the rejection of Islam in general would just be more so like improbable, other than this evolutionistic aspect, which is just like a mere theory in general.
So
And as
even
I said,
some
if you
other
want
theistic view,
one moment,
so like maybe even a deism.
Deism, I would, if I was not a Muslim, I would be a deist, but I would not.
No, let me phrase
more
differently.
inclined to
Would
deism.
you? So you believe Islam being like untrue is worse than maybe just affirming deism and evolution? Like I'm asking you, which side do you think is more
Yeah.
probable?
I would say
Okay.
deism is improbable, more improbable. But as I said, if you want like a view on why evolution would be improbable, then you'd probably have to talk to someone who focuses on that. As I said, I don't exactly focus on that. I could give maybe more of like a philosophical case as to why God
Evolution's been
exists.
observed, which means there's meaningfully.
No, I'm speaking about more specifically Darwinian evolution.
No, that's
Like,
what I'm
not-
saying. Like even something like bacterial resistance to drugs is Darwinian evolution at work.
Yeah, I'm
Like, is in
speaking
the
about,
real
like,
world, we engage with evolution 24/7. Like,
yeah,
you
I'm
get the
speaking more
flu even
so.
after getting
Yeah,
vaccinated because of
no,
it.
no, no. I agree. I actually agree with something like that. Like, I agree that, for example, we like kind of like adapt to things like that, or we get like a flu, we'd have to.
Yeah, but you spoke about
Yeah,
mutations, right? And you said,
I was
was it that
speaking
you weren't
about.
convinced about the
I was speaking about more
mutations?
so Darwinian evolution.
Yeah, no,
Like, not
Darwinian
just like
evolution is
adapting.
that. No, Darwinian
Yeah, no, no,
evolution
no.
is that.
One second. I agree. I agree with like the whole thing of like adapting, but I don't agree with like kind of deriving from monkeys or whatever or apes and then becoming something like humans. I don't agree with that exactly. Though I can say that something which is compatible with like more of like an Abrahamic paradigm is there were like humans, like Adam and Eve or whatever, and then beside them were these monkeys and apes, which did kind of evolutionize a little bit. That's something which is more compatible with the Abrahamic faith. But if you're speaking about humans from like the beginning, that's not something I'm very, very like. I would reject that, but I'm not very, very well versed in to give like an adequate response to. You probably have to speak to someone who is more well versed in that subject. Because as I said, it's not really something which intrigues that much.
Okay, like maybe if you just ignore humans, but when you separate Darwinian evolution from just bacterial resistance, they are the same thing. As in that is just Darwinian evolution. There is no
Yeah,
difference between them.
I'm not very well versed in
Yeah.
that. Like,
Also, one more thing.
so
How old do you think humanity is? That's like, and then
that's
one more
something
question
that I was
afterwards.
thinking about going into because there are like a lot of Abrahamic proponents who say that's like 6,000 years old or something.
Yeah,
Right?
that's just
I don't know if that'd
scientifically
be.
impossible.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be very inclined to accept that view. Those are like young creationists, or whatever they're called.
Young Earth
I don't
creationists,
know.
they use biblical genealogy, at least the
Yeah,
Christian ones.
like some church doctors. Not every Christian accepts that though, but it's mainly some of their church doctors and fathers. I'm not really Christian, obviously, and I don't really know if I don't
But in
know if that's very
Christianity, they started affirming evolution by just rejecting biblical literalism. I don't know why you don't just do that with Islam, and then you can. Yes, see?
Yeah, I was just interested, like, because during a discussion, this BB guy, he was talking to Beetlejuice about he was talking to Beetlejuice about right, if you have like the purple frogs and the white ones, and the white frogs seem to have or seem to have evolved in such a way or adapted in such a way as to avoid predators. But one can concede to the existence of natural selection whilst also denying evolution, at least in a Darwinian
Evolution
sense.
is natural selection. Evolution is what not. No, I mean evolution is natural selection evolution is just natural selection over a longer period of time, so it's natural selection occurring enough times to the point where you end up with distinct groups. So in the frog example, we see that with bacteria. Like instead of purple frog, white frog, the Bertie's purple frog, we have non-drug resistant bacteria and drug resistant bacteria. The drug kills the non-drug resistant bacteria, causing the drug resistant bacteria's population to increase. Like we observe this. And then if you'll say, no, but then the evolution comes in when this just keeps happening. There's no functional difference. It's the exact same mechanism.
Yeah,
Beetlejuice.
When you
Do you miss me?
want to affirm evolution, you want to affirm macroevolution, right? That's
wait,
what you're
Josh,
No, but again, I'm saying there's no mechanistic difference. It becomes macro because of repetition.
Yeah. I don't see any evidence for why microevolution becomes macroevolution. Can you show me that?
I'm stating there's no mechanistic difference. So when you say micro becomes macro, in the macroevolution view, it's just a bunch of macroevolution causes like more visible changes to occur. They're mechanistically. No, but when you're separating them in your question, that's incoherent.
No, it's
I'm
not
telling you about the same thing.
Micro.
Wait,
okay, because one Plutus, right? I know this might sound so short to you, right? But one has micro in the word, and then one has macro. So when it's micro, is referring to smaller changes, right? So, for example, maybe a giraffe growing a longer neck, or maybe a coat of fur, right? And when it says macroevolution, it's referring to a complete change in species, right? And complete change in kind. So, for example, a monkey, right, becoming a human being, or a wolf, a dire wolf. How's it done talking? Or a dire wolf, for example, becoming like, I don't know, a different type of dog entirely.
And Josh.
What I need to ask them is, what's going to be the evidence for microevolution, or macroevolution, I should say, emerging from microevolution? Where do you get this evidence from?
Again, it's just your argument entails there's a mechanistic difference. There isn't one. I guess we can look at bacteria where we see this. They become what we classify as different species. I'm pretty sure we've just seen the insect species, and we've also seen it in bus when they can no longer have reproduction with each other, which is the definition we have of species too. But again, all macroevolution is microevolution occurring multiple times. It's not like the difference between punching someone and throwing a grenade at them. Like at best, it's punching someone versus punching someone 15 times. But if you have one, you have the other if you wait long enough, because the latter is just what we'd observe if a former kept happening. Like your argument again requires a difference that just isn't there, that no science would affirm is there. And when you point out small change versus big change, sure. Over the giraffe, it would be multiple instances of microevolution increasing the giraffe's neck, which over time causes an apparent macroevolutionary difference. But you will never observe macroevolution in a generation to generation because it's purely additions of microevolution. Your argument it's confused.
Are you done?
Am I talking?
Okay, just checking. So, I kind of disagree with the whole microevolution will eventually lead to macroevolution thing. You said that we've observed different insects, becoming different species, but becoming a different species doesn't necessarily entail macroevolution, right? So,
what do you think microevolution is?
If you look at the article I sent, right, I'll just leave it out to you. This is complete, by the way. It has to be valid. It says macroevolution usually means the evolution of large-scale structures and traits that go significantly beyond the intraspecific variation found in microevolution, including speciation. Right?
Why do you send the article?
I sent it in general.
Okay.
And it says, in other words, macroevolution is the evolution of taxa above the species level, right? So it's not just talking about, going from one species to another, but rather it's talking about going from one kind to another. At least that's my understanding.
Kinds aren't biological. Don't say kinds. That means you're a retard. That's not a biological category.
I don't need to show I don't need to use a very, very specific.
No. But I mean, kind means no. I'm saying I don't because kind means nothing.
Oh, I'll tell you what I'm using kind to mean, right?
Okay,
so, for example, you can have one kind of animal, right? You can have a wolf, for example. I'd say that if you have a group of wolves that were members of one kind, that being the wolf kind, and then you have a kind.
What if I said all black people part of the black people kind? What is this category constructed around? You're just arbitrarily constructing kinds around no actual properties. What is a kind?
A kind is going to be something, or a kind, at least in my definition, is going to be when multiple objects seem to possess one shared essence, right? So you can say wolves are part of one wolf kind insofar as they possess the wolf essence or wolfness.
Black people possess the black people essence. I'm asking, what separate your definition? Does your definition of kind apply to species? Would it apply to subspecies? Would it apply to families? This is a completely useless definition. I need at least some way to limit kind into a meaningful category. What's a kind?
there would be in this context it'd be the difference between two mammals. Like I don't know, an elephant
So
is a
the
different
fish not
kind.
have kind? The birds not have kinds? Do
No, of
insects
course
not have kinds?
you can have different. Yeah, obviously the time kind is like,
You defined it by mammals.
Yeah, so I said different kinds of mammals. Like, for example, an elephant would be a different kind to a wolf, for example, or whatever, right? That's what I'm using the term kind
Why?
to.
What? Again, I'm asking, why are you drawing the distinction between elephant and wolf kinds, but not maybe African elephants and then Asian elephant kinds?
Nah,
Again,
I
I'm
don't
asking for
think that.
why. I'm asking for I'm asking for necessary and sufficient features required to construct this differentiation,
Yeah,
because
so
it
like,
seems arbitrary.
for example, an elephant has a long nose, has a face that looks akin to Shinra,
So
somewhat.
is this purely
And then,
visual?
it will just be biological.
No, but visual. Okay, it's not. There's like convergent evolution, right? Like visual similarities don't necessarily mean genetic similarities. So
Wait,
this really
did you
just
understand the
doesn't
argument?
seem biological.
Did you understand the argument? I'm confused.
No. Again, I'm saying you're now using like long noses, but we have convergent evolutions. Well, like even if we reject evolution, there are things that look like crabs that are genetically extremely
No,
to each other. I'm
okay,
telling you
no.
right now, I'm telling you, your metric says nothing about the DNA
No,
or
so the
biology of the
reason why
creatures.
I don't know if
Go
you
ahead.
could tell based on me saying that the elephant looks akin to Shinra, but it was a joke, right? I wasn't actually saying that. Oh yeah, it's entirely based on visual appearance.
I
It's also
didn't say
based
it
on
was
biology,
entirely. I'm
and
saying visual
it seems
appearance
to
is
be the case.
meaningless.
It seems to be the case that typically our appearance reflects our biology, right? So that's why I said, or that's why I mentioned appearance so readily. However, what I could say is that one becomes a different kind when their biology it doesn't have the same aspects that another kind or that's common to another kind.
Yeah, again, that just rejects convergent evolution, which have biologically very distinct creatures that have the same visual attributes.
It's not contending my point.
No, but I'm stating that you're no longer drawing a genetic comparison here. You could have animals that are from different kinds that are more related genetically than animals from the same kind.